Tonight's presentation of The Future of Eastern Idaho is sponsored by Idaho National Laboratory, Melaleuca, Optum, Portneuf Medical Center, College of Eastern Idaho, Mountain View Hospital, Idaho Falls Community Hospital, and Idaho Central Credit Union.
It's really cool stuff that we do.
The world's changing and there's no way for you to stop that.
We have a growing need.
Eastern Idaho is rapidly changing. Some would say for the better, while others might disagree. But regardless of your opinion, I think we can all agree that change is happening and will continue. For the next hour, we're going to examine what's on the horizon for the future of East Idaho, get projections and insight from local experts, and most importantly, learn how you could be affected. Population growth, education, healthcare, even outdoor recreation. It's all rapidly changing. Plus, we'll hear about some exciting new advances being developed right here in Eastern Idaho. Park Price grew up in Pocatello and spent his career as an auto dealer and banker. Currently living in Idaho Falls, Park is chairman of Bank of Idaho and has just completed a 6-year appointment as a director of the Salt Lake branch of the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. Idaho's seen a huge growth with migration. There's a lot of people that are wanting to move into Idaho. Is it people that are moving here looking to work, or is it people moving in looking to retire?
No, looking to work. We worried about and early on it was the retirees. But since what's so interesting about the COVID experience, people could figure that they could work from anywhere and be gainfully employed. So that's what's changed. People are looking for a great life along with a great job. Well, if you can be a tech worker in California and live in Idaho, which a lot of people are doing, that works very well.
Idaho has been the fastest growing state for the past 5 years, and projections show our population will continue to rise. In the next 10 years, Eastern Idaho's population is expected to grow by over 32,000 more residents.
What I think is we're seeing right now is we're taking advantage of the growth in Utah. So we're seeing a lot of migration up here because for many companies, particularly smaller companies, it's so expensive in Salt Lake. And that Wasatch Front. Competition for resources, in human resources, financial resources is intense. We're certainly not going to be a big metropolis, but we're going to be big enough as a region because all the development is going to happen from south of Pocatello to Rexburg and beyond.
What I remember with Utah is that there was Salt Lake, there was Orem, but now it just seems like it's one big corridor. Do you see the growth here in Eastern Idaho similar, going both south and north?
Yeah. We're very, in that respect, we're very much following the path or the development path that Salt Lake did, because you had two large communities in Pocatello and Idaho Falls. And then you have all these other communities that have expanded since that, Chubbuck, Ammon, and we're seeing a lot of development in Firth and Shelley, and you've seen it in Blackfoot, south of Pocatello.
There are people that are not real fond of the fact that the big cities coming in here. Is it a benefit to have, all these people coming from all these different areas?
Absolutely. It certainly is a benefit. Symphony is a very good example of that, because if you look at the Idaho Falls Symphony or you look at the Idaho State Civic Symphony, the talent that we have there is in many cases a result of those people that have moved here, that have those skills, that want to do that. Same thing is true with the performing arts. We're getting to the point, we're large enough now to where other entertainment opportunities are available. Obviously there are people that are less excited about that. Yeah, there's certainly a section of people who are here because of the lifestyle. And the world's changing, and there's no way for you to stop that. The best way to handle that is to control it. And if you have a wise development plan, that's going to appeal to most people. There's some people who really want that other lifestyle, and so you're probably going to have to relocate to do that.
The housing situation. For a while, I mean, we were the most overpriced, I guess, in the nation for a little while. I think that's kind of come down now. What is the housing situation as far as housing, rentals, and affordable housing?
So the answer is, for a long time, the way we grew here was in single-family residences. We had the land, we didn't have that much demand, and so prices were pretty stable, and there was enough housing coming on to handle the population. That has changed since the COVID times. That's changed because more people are coming in. We just weren't ready for that. So I'm pleased with the way the market has reacted. So it's market forces. When you have a shortage, first thing that happens is prices go up, right? And that's a problem. But you will see as you drive around Pocatello and Chubbuck, or you drive around Ammon and Idaho Falls, hundreds of apartments. There's a lot of supply coming on right now, and I'm expecting within a couple of months prices to start to go down. So I would say housing costs are going to go down, probably substantially to begin with, and then kind of level out, but it's going to get back to a good balance. So that's what's happening right now. But the demand is still pretty high. Unemployment in this area, in Idaho in general, and this area in particular, is like 2.5%. That is, and it's almost nothing. Full employment, speaking as a Federal Reserve person, full employment is 4%. So we're 1.5% beyond full employment. So anybody that needs a job or wants a job can get a job.
With these incredibly low unemployment numbers in eastern Idaho, many businesses are struggling to find employees. Attracting qualified workers will be necessary to sustain many businesses. I sat down with Melaleuca CEO Jerry Felton to see how this $2 billion company is dealing with this. What is Melaleuca doing to recruit people to work here?
Well, I think that first and foremost is we keep all the employees that we have, so that we have to recruit less. And if you can create an environment internally where your employees, we call them team members, and we have a great environment. Our retention of our current employees is very high, but we have a growing need in various parts of our business because of the growth that we're experiencing. So we do go outside, and we do look for those hires if we can't find them here locally. Why do they want to come here? Many people come here, as you know, to visit the area. A lot of tourist attractions between the Tetons, Yellowstone, Jackson, the outdoors. And when people, if we can get them here and they can see what's here, that's one of the biggest draws.
The Idaho National Laboratory is eastern Idaho's largest employer with over 5,400 employees. And Human Resources Administrator Laura Alvarado says they're also looking to hire even more.
This last fiscal year, we're pushing 600 new hires. Hopefully we go over that. That's our goal, to go over 600. And last year it was a little bit under that. So it's just continuously growing. And I know that there's no plans on stopping. They have new projects that are coming out at the site, and so our numbers are just going to continue to grow.
What things do you say, hey, this is what we have, when you're trying to recruit employees to eastern Idaho?
Like I said, we touch a lot on the outdoor stuff. We talk about the arts here in the community, just the museums that we have available, going outdoors and doing like hiking, boating, all that stuff. So I think that's a big sell for someone who lives in the city, to be able to come here and enjoy nature. It's a big difference.
Idaho Central Credit Union has repeatedly been identified by many as one of the most desirable places to work. So we asked Chief Operating Officer Brenda Worrell, what's their secret?
Well, we get asked that question a lot, and there's really not one specific answer or one reason. It's really a combination of a lot of different things. For me, I think one of the most important things with our culture is that our team members really understand how they make a difference every single day. And we want all of them to know how they make that difference in the life of someone else. And I think when you understand that, it's really motivating and fulfilling to have that be a part of your job. I also think that we really work hard to have our team members put in positions where it fits their natural talents. And if you're doing something that you're naturally talented at, you're going to be more successful at it, and then you're obviously going to be more satisfied and happy in your job and in your life. We also try really hard to make sure that we get to know one another, and we celebrate together, we cry together, we laugh together, we volunteer together. We do all those things that really help develop relationships. And then of course we always do, try to maintain our benefits and have those be really top-notch as well as our pay.
In the same way that there are a limited number of workers, Eastern Idaho's land is also finite. And with a growing population, more and more of this land is being developed. Idaho Farm Bureau Foundation spokesman Sean Ellis sees this firsthand.
Idaho was the fastest growing state in the nation in the last 10 years on a percentage basis by far. And those people need houses. Developers are coming in. They're offering farmers a pretty penny for their land. And a lot of them are, the offer for a lot of them is too much to turn down. And, a farmer, a rancher, or any property owner has the right to sell their land if they want to. So if a developer offers them money and that farmland is the farmer's retirement plan, who can blame them if they sell it? At the same time, everyone's concerned about loss of farmland. And so Farm Bureau created this committee last year called a Farmland Preservation Committee. And it consists of 15 farmers and ranchers from across the state. And they've been meeting since last December. And they're going to try to come up with a solution to stop or at least slow down the rapid loss of farmland in Idaho.
So is the family farm essentially dying?
No, well, so the Census of Agriculture, which is done every 5 years, and it's like the regular census, it counts every farm and ranch in the U.S. 96% of farms are still family farms, but they're, it's getting tougher and tougher to pass your farm down to the next generation for a variety of reasons.
Alan Reed is a longtime family farmer and owner of Reed's Dairy. At one time, his dairy was out in the country. Now it's surrounded by the growth of Idaho Falls.
We were talking earlier to Sean Ellis about family farms, which is exactly what you've got here. Do you see the family farm continuing on, or is it something that you think is eventually just going to go away?
Well, I hope it doesn't go away. My great-grandfather moved here on this property a long time ago, and so our roots are really deep here in Idaho Falls and in Idaho. And so, I have a son that's involved in the dairy, and so hopefully it can continue to grow and progress, and he can do well with it.
How do you see things in the future? Are you still going to be able to be in the city limits, or do you see moving, the cows somewhere else and having to operate differently?
Well, yeah, a year ago we did move our cattle. We partnered with another dairy, Vince Barzee up in Mud Lake, and he's milking our cows and we're hauling the milk back just because, we're in the city now essentially. And so that was becoming a challenge for us. And so we moved the cattle, and we're going to use what we have here to the best of our ability for processing and producing great products.
Look 5-10 years down the road, what do you see as the future of agriculture in Eastern Idaho?
I believe agriculture will still be successful. We got some, I work closely with farmers and ranchers, and these are some amazing people. And their family farms, and most of them, virtually all of them, do it because they love the lifestyle. And I don't see that changing. The bad news is that farmland is disappearing at a rate that's concerning. The good news is that if you look back 40 years ago, we're producing a lot more on a lot less than we used to. And the reason is private and public research. So I would say it's vitally important that research continues, and that the ag industry overall and the state overall continues to support that research, because that's what's going to drive those increased yields. Agriculture drives the state's economy still, and that's why it's so important. Agriculture is the past, present, and future of Idaho's economy. And if so goes agriculture, so goes the state's economy. I'm not speaking for all farmers, but farmers generally support smart growth. They support development, but they support smart growth. So if you want to bring that facility in, bring it in, but develop it in a way that makes sense. Don't just plop it in the middle of farmland country.
Development isn't just reducing farmland, it's also shrinking the resources available for wildlife and outdoor recreation. Dan Guerin is the regional supervisor for Idaho Fish and Game's Southeast region.
When you have people coming into an area, they need places to live, and so construction is occurring, and that's generally on lands that at one time were wildlife habitat, and so you're losing some wildlife habitat because of this growth that we're seeing. And the other challenge in front of us is, relating to that growth, is the folks that are moving here in general want to recreate in the outdoors. They want to experience the resources that we have here, and it's a powerful draw to our area. Managing, both the growth and the use are going to be a challenge for us moving forward.
Even with the challenges, there is still plenty of optimism that there is still room for all.
A couple neat things that we've got in the hopper. Well, first, securing land through easements with partner organizations or other partners, that's going to be key. Just limiting where growth happens is important, and so being involved with county planning and zoning. We're starting to explore new programs like a limited entry hunting program where it's not a free-for-all for the public, but maybe there are landowners who are interested in smaller numbers, controlled numbers of public, using the wildlife that's on their property. And we rolled that program out this year at a small scale here in the Pocatello region.
Coming up, we'll take a look at how the education system is evolving to prepare Eastern Idaho's future workforce and what changes are coming in our healthcare system.
Yeah, we got the power, so let's get started right now. We can, we do. We can, we do, we are. You can, you do. So let's get started right now. You can, you do, you are. We can, we do. You can, we can, we do. We can, we do.
As we discovered earlier, businesses are having a difficult time finding a sufficient number of qualified individuals to fill their employment needs. A trained, educated workforce is vital. That's why our education system, specifically higher education, will play an essential role in the future of Eastern Idaho. We're fortunate to have 4 quality institutions of higher education right in our own backyard: Idaho State University, Brigham Young University, Idaho, the College of Eastern Idaho, and a satellite campus of the University of Idaho. These institutions are critical in preparing our future workforce. However, the number of Idaho high school students that go directly on to college is one of the lowest in the nation. Currently, the go-on rate for Idaho is only 37%. I asked Idaho State University President Kevin Satterley about this.
What are you doing, or what do you see being done to encourage high school graduates to go on and get that college education?
So the go-on rate in Idaho is too low. We need more students to realize they will live that better life if they get an education. So that's why my colleagues and I have joined together to do advertising and get into the schools to talk about this. We are literally working together, all of us, collaboratively. It's not competition anymore, it's about collaboration. When the college recruiters for Idaho State University go out and recruit in the high schools, we talk to our recruiters about, yes, please recruit students to come to Idaho State, but if you find a student and what they want to study and what's best for them is to go to one of our sister schools, encourage them to go there. Give them the application materials for those schools, because at the end of the day, we need those students to go on. Whether they come to Idaho State or any of our sister schools, our state is better off when we get those kids educated. I firmly believe that every high school student can benefit from some level of additional education, but not all of them want a bachelor's degree or more.
I also spoke with the College of Eastern Idaho's president, Rick Amon. Community colleges like the College of Eastern Idaho and Idaho Falls focus on a more skills-based education.
That's an interesting question, and our go-on rate in Idaho is rather low. Let's just say it's under 50%, which means that a graduating senior, half of them do not go on to post-secondary education immediately. So we want to convince them of the importance when you're young to get a skill, to find, maybe you've got a passion, maybe you just want a family wage job, maybe you like being a nurse, maybe you like cybersecurity. So showing them an array of jobs that might be interesting to them and then helping them move in that direction.
Another way higher education is making the go-on process easier for local students is our 3 public institutions are working closer together to simplify the scholastic path.
The 3 of us, University of Idaho, Idaho State University, and the College of Eastern Idaho working together to form an education ecosystem. So imagine, if you will, that a student walks into any of the 3 of us and says, I want to get a degree in blank. Whatever it is, from associates to bachelor's to master's to doctoral. Our answer, no matter which one of it is, should be yes, and here's how you get there. It's not, well, go here and then transfer here and then take these credits there. It's, here's your path. So I envision that what we're working towards, and we have signed co-admit agreements, we've signed agreements where if you start as a student with College of Eastern Idaho, the day you start there, you're also admitted as an ISU student, and all your credits are going to count, and you can take classes from either institution. There's no reason for us to compete with the College of Eastern Idaho, especially given that community college price point is very different than the university price point. It's much better for a student if they can take many of their 100 and 200 level classes and introductory classes at a cheaper price point before they start paying university tuition. That's what I want them to do. Because if I can do that, then I'm really providing for that student and getting them towards their educational goals.
Let's talk a little bit about tuition and costs. I mean, it's top of mind for a lot of people, especially now. Do you see a college education as something that can be affordable to anyone in Eastern Idaho?
Well, cost of higher education for students is a problem in this country. So, I mean, the good news, and there is good news in this, and that is Idaho has, depending on each year, and I haven't seen the statistics for this fall, but we are either the 7th or 8th lowest tuition of all the states in the country. So we still have among the lowest tuition rates for in-state students of any state in the union. So that's the good news. The bad news is it's still a lot of money. We are increasing our scholarships. We are increasing financial aid because we want those students.
Another way Eastern Idaho students are able to reduce costs is through an increasing number of dual enrollment classes being offered through local high schools. The College of Eastern Idaho's Director of Strategic Partnerships, Anne Marie Peters, sees the impact.
We have over 1,400 high school students that are enrolled in dual credit. The great thing about that is they're getting college credit in high school, so they're accumulating those credits. It's inspiring confidence. They're knowing that they can actually do college courses, and it's free, because with advanced opportunities through the state of Idaho, they and their parents don't have to pay for those college classes. We're more than happy to be a one-year institution. We are not in the business of collecting tuition. We're a very, very low-cost organization to make it accessible to everyone. And as such, we would love it if everyone came with at least a year of credit, and we could get them into either their final year of an associate degree or a technician program or anything for 1 year, and they're out in the world, either going on to their university or going into a job. What a great opportunity that would be for everyone. And so the more students we have like that, the better, who are earning those credits at no cost.
For years, a bachelor's degree was the educational standard for getting a job, but that's just not the case anymore.
Organizations like Google and Amazon and those kinds of high-tech organizations, they don't need bachelor's degrees particularly. They need industry-recognized certifications.
Today's workforce standard is possessing the right knowledge or skills needed to perform a job. That may be a technical skill or could be the advanced thought associated with a PhD. And for that entire range, Idaho State University is uniquely positioned.
We are one of only 6 universities in the nation, and that's a true statistic, 6 in the entire nation, that offers technical training all the way through PhDs and advanced professional degrees. There are only 6 universities that do that, and we're one of them.
However, there's one very critical key to understanding an employer's educational needs of the future. Ask.
We are actively taking surveys of major employers. We're talking to everyone from the CEOs to the hiring managers.
Our favorite question is, what do you need? Don't make us guess.
Asking them, what do you want to see in our graduates? What are the skill sets you're looking for? What does the preparation look like? So that we can make sure we build that into our curriculum.
If asking employers is key, Marianne Walk, Deputy Laboratory Director at the Idaho National Laboratory, will gladly tell you what she's looking for.
We want to hire our local population to work at our laboratory. We're working on things like expanding nuclear engineering education that's available at both U of I and ISU. They both have nuclear engineering programs. And I see no end in sight for needing cybersecurity professionals. So those are just 2 examples.
Armed with this type of information, schools are then tailoring their programs to meet employer needs.
INL, for example, we have great relationships in cybersecurity. So we have a number of adjunct faculty at INL that would come and teach on the weekends or evenings exactly what it means to work in that very technical field of cyber.
Our most important role at the college is, of course, the students, but making sure that our students get great jobs or are fully prepared to go on to a university is the main goal of the college. Now, to do that, what better way than to know what are the best jobs? And you can't know that if you don't ask the employers.
Industry is telling us, higher ed, its skill sets. So what are those skill sets that we can give to a student that help them become successful immediately on a job?
When you're going and preparing for the future, how do you plan for something like that?
We do something called futuring, and if you know the Wayne Gretzky quote of skate to where the puck is going to go, when we future, we look at the region, we look at the employers, we look at the skills that we know will be 5 to 7 years out, and those are the programs that we do. There are a number of programs we don't do because we know that there isn't demand here. So we look at the future and build our institution around those skill sets.
We know that there are a great number of projects that are coming to Eastern Idaho. That's so fortunate, right? For everybody who lives here, that we have so many opportunities, so many great jobs that will be available for Idahoans. So that's how this whole thing started. We know there are going to be about 3,000 technician jobs in demand just in Eastern Idaho in the next 3 or 4 years. So we want to be prepared, and we want to have those students ready to be filling those jobs and getting those great jobs.
And when you say technician, what does that term mean?
Agritech is probably a great example of that, to the extent that, in the past, there's been no technology really involved in agriculture other than machinery. I'm talking many years ago, right? But over the last several years, there's been a real evolution toward technology in farming, especially in big farm operations. So you may run your irrigation with GPS and other tools like that. You are probably running your larger pieces of equipment with a computer program. That takes a technician, that takes somebody who understands how those components work and can not only program them, but in a lot of cases, they also need to be able to adjust and fix those components as well.
One of the things business and industry tells us is they want students to have experience doing the job, not just the academic training, but experience. And one of the best ways to get that experience is through internships, where we partner with business and industry and send our students there for internships. Idaho State University is again unique in this, and we have a program called the Career Path Internship Program, CPI is what we call it. We actually pay our students an hourly wage when they're off doing an internship in business and industry. So they not only get the academic credit, but they get paid, and the business or industry doesn't have to pay them.
So this idea of putting a student in with an employer is an important element, and we would future into that, and we would look for employers who would want to bring students in and help train them. So that's probably an important element that we've looked at.
Today's lecture.
Of course, no discussion of the future would be totally complete without discovering what exciting things are on the horizon. At CEI, it's going to be Future Tech.
Future Tech is going to be a 90,000 square foot building that we're going to construct just north of campus on Hitt Road. It's going to be a great iconic building for education. That's the outside of it. The architecture will be nice, but functional, because what we are doing inside is the important part, and that's high-tech training. We're also going to have a large conference center to serve the community. So we're very deliberate about always remembering that we are the community college.
Idaho State's future will bring great opportunity and expanded offerings to members of the healthcare and nuclear communities.
We have right now about a dozen healthcare disciplines that we expect to expand into over the next several years, so that we'll be teaching more and more healthcare professionals of the state. And then secondly, in our partnership with the Idaho National Laboratory, you know that the Idaho National Lab has been awarded the contract from the U.S. Department of Energy to develop the next generation of nuclear reactors for our entire nation. Well, we are specifically hiring the research faculty that they're going to need to partner with, so that we can expand our nuclear engineering program here at Idaho State, because we will be part of designing that next level of nuclear industry for the entire nation. And we'll be doing it right here at Idaho State University. So we have the ability to have the ecosystem where the people who design the reactors we train, and the people who actually build and work in the reactors, and we train them, and we can meld that together. So imagine if you are going to be a technician in through a vocational program in a reactor, but you're able to train with the PhDs that designed it. And if you're the PhDs that design it, you get the practical experience of the people who are working on it and creating it and building it. That's what's unique about Idaho State University in this nuclear field, is that we have both sides of that at the same time.
After this short break, we'll take a look at what changes are coming to our healthcare system. Don't go away.
Having been involved in broadcast media for over 35 years, I've learned a few things. One, people do not want to have their time wasted. We are busy people. We are on the go. Therefore, at KPVI, we want to get the message to you quickly, and we want to be accurate about it. And it needs to be relevant to you. How is this affecting you? How is this affecting your family? That's why KPVI is news that works for you.
Matt Davenport, weeknights at 5 and 10 on KPVI.
Your busy schedule doesn't stop on the weekends, and neither does KPVI News. Each weekend, we're working for you, bringing you the top stories in eastern Idaho. Heather Ann Wagner will have the latest weather and local forecast for the week ahead. Plus, Joey Dubois will keep you up on the local and regional sports scores. Join me, Kylie Gibson, along with Heather Ann Wagner and Joey Dubois for KPVI News Weekend Edition. KPVI, news that works for you.
In addition to the importance of a well-educated workforce, another topic frequently brought up when discussing the future of eastern Idaho is health care. Not only do individuals want to maintain a healthy quality of life, but businesses want a healthy workforce.
Health has many benefits, not only for just mental health and physical health, but also for the economic health of eastern Idaho.
Sean Menchaca is the president and CEO of Portneuf Health Trust.
The Health Trust is really focused on really trying to do preventative measures. If you're really going to have healthy communities, wellness, and those things focused on preventative health are really going to make the difference long term. That has really a lot of benefits for both the community and for businesses. And if you think about where businesses might locate or why they might expand, if they have a very productive, healthy workforce, they're obviously going to have less premium expense for their health care, and they're going to have much better people showing up to work and presenteeism issues, and really much more efficiency.
If we are proactive now concerning health, down the road, what are we going to see?
Yeah, being proactive and getting physically active in your life will actually will lower the risk of almost every disease. I'm sure there's some disease I don't know of, but if you really think about heart disease, strokes, cancers, lower respiratory disease, really Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, there really isn't anything that physical activity doesn't work to prevent.
In an effort to proactively work toward improving preventative measures, the Health Trust has begun a new initiative in Pocatello called Healthy City USA.
So Healthy City USA is really about a vision for the healthiest community. Healthy City USA is how do we build the healthiest community in the country, and how do we weave that in our DNA? So we worked hard and are going to work hard in the future about creating more inventory and more awareness about wellness and healthy activities and healthy eating. Businesses want to be part of healthy communities, and it's just the rising tide raises all ships in this case.
So when somebody is thinking about moving their business or relocating here, a physician wanting to start their practice, having that title, I guess, of a Healthy City USA and showing that that's what we are, do you feel like that's going to be a draw for those businesses and for those people?
I think it's a huge draw if you're a Healthy City USA, and actually the Chamber of Commerce believes that as well, and so that's partly why they've embraced it. Think about that. If you have the ability to bring a company to a community that is really healthy and it's vibrant, and you have really great access to recreational opportunities, and you have that kind of great, I'll call it vibe, healthy vibe, you're certainly going to choose that over another community that doesn't have really an identity and has no vision for the future. This is a vision for the future, and it's a vision that we think will make our community healthier in both our physical health and our mental health, but also perhaps even in our economic health.
Portneuf Medical Center is one of Eastern Idaho's largest hospitals, and President Jordan Herget agrees that a healthy community and preventative care are important keys to the future of health care.
So we're really invested in the community being healthy. One of our partners is the Portneuf Health Trust, and they've just kicked off an initiative called Healthy City USA. And we're a big believer in supporting that, and that's getting people out and active, that's helping them eat right. And the media is very involved in this, and we're hoping that Pocatello becomes the healthiest city in the country, in fact. We're actually really focused on prevention. Our goal is to keep people healthy and actually keep them out of the hospital. We're here when you need it, but we have what's called a clinically integrated network. It's called Patient Quality Alliance, or PQA. Right now we have about 30,000 members of that clinically integrated network, and those members are given kind of a higher level of screening and preventative care, whether it's related to cancer screenings or diabetes or chronic heart failure. These patients go through specialized preventative measures that actually keeps them out of the hospital. The other thing we're doing with PQA, people who have a doctor's appointment may not have transportation to that appointment. So we're actually looking at solutions that will help transport them from their home to the doctor's office.
So this is an insurance plan, but it has other aspects that go along with it.
Yeah, you'd almost call it an enhanced plan. So if you are participating in PQA through Blue Cross or through Medicare, that's really the insurance company, but you'll get that extra level of preventative care and chronic care monitoring that comes with the population health.
So the hospital's actually partnering with insurance. Do you find that that's really the wave of the future? Is that these entities need to work together to give people the best health care possible?
That's absolutely the wave of the future. Healthcare, as you know, is a very expensive proposition. And how do we keep healthcare affordable? And that's keeping people healthy. If a population of individuals can avoid that costly hospital stay, then that population has a lower cost of healthcare. And so that's really what PQA is all about. We work with the insurers to make sure we keep people healthy as possible. So that keeps them out of the more costly settings of healthcare.
The need for partnerships is a shared sentiment among many health providers, not just partnering with insurance companies, but with each other. And fortunately for area residents, the future is already here, and Eastern Idaho is ahead of the curve. Bobby Cuyo is the CEO of the Hospital Cooperative.
The Hospital Cooperative, it's a network of hospitals that decided to formally get together about 25 years ago. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of the hospitals, they consistently work together on different issues. And so we're an entity that we try and help facilitate some of that collaboration. Some of that is that find out ways that they can work together on different projects. They may have similar challenges they're trying to get past, and then also they can learn from each other. And so we try and play a role in that. And a couple of examples, that all hospitals, they have to buy supplies from outside entities. And some of the small hospitals, they cannot do that on their own because of their size. There's about 100 different group purchasing organizations in the country. And we were fortunate, we were able to band all of our hospitals together, and we're working with really the third largest in the country. And so that's really a neat thing, is that the small hospitals in this area are able to achieve the exact same pricing that some of the bigger facilities are getting, like a St. Luke's or Beth Israel it's in Boston, Massachusetts. There's another big one, Robert Wood Johnson Hospital over in New Brunswick. So we're getting the same pricing as these big facilities.
Another example of how hospitals will be working together is the partnership between Idaho Falls Community Hospital and Mountain View Hospital. Casey Jackman, Idaho Falls Community Hospital's Chief Operating Officer, understands how this allows them each to focus on a specific area of medicine.
The unique thing about Idaho Falls Community Hospital is our focus is on acute care only. And so when you take a look at a regular hospital, when you take a look at other hospitals, even in the rest of the state, they focus on a broader scope of healthcare. So they do things like outpatient imaging, and they do elective surgeries, and they do things like that, where we're focused just on acute care. So the vast majority of the surgeries that we do in our hospital come through the emergency room, or from direct admits from physicians that see a patient that's desperately in trouble and doesn't have the opportunity to be able to schedule their care. And the really nice thing about that model is we don't have those inpatients that kind of hinder our schedule. So let's take MRI, for example. If you need an MRI at a regular hospital and you're coming through the emergency room, they have to squeeze you into their outpatient schedule. Well, we don't have that problem because we don't have the outpatient schedule. We're here just for the acute care patients.
You know, we're really lucky to have a working partnership with the Idaho Falls Community Hospital.
Mountain View Hospital's marketing director, Brian Zeal, also understands how the joint collaboration is a very important element for both hospitals.
It's been really great to have them be on our campus. You know, for a long time, Mountain View Hospital, we weren't known as high acute care. We were really kind of more on the elective surgeries, babies, physical therapy, that sort of thing. So to have, you know, now this new sister company who's taking the high acuity side, really exciting to be able to provide new options in the area for, you know, that emergency care and trauma and cardiovascular, things like that. I mean, it's a great way for us now to kind of provide that same experience, you know, that Mountain View's had. You know, a lot of Idaho Falls Community Hospital patients are receiving a similar care.
Not only does collaboration expand the quality of the offerings, but it also allows for better targeting of their specialties.
Mountain View Hospital, I would say we're probably one of the most technologically advanced hospitals from a surgery standpoint. We invest a lot into the newest and latest equipment. And a lot of that is because it helps with the patient's outcomes. You know, it will help drive faster recovery time. It's going to help with, a lot of it tends to be less invasive, and just overall a better experience for the patient. We're always looking for that next thing to give to the community to provide that service. I guess the one that comes to my mind is, we do a lot with oncology, which is cancer care. The Teton Cancer Institute is actually one of our affiliates, and we are very big on making sure that all of our equipment and our personnel is all up to date, that they've got the training they need and the tools they need to be successful.
In the area of mental health, Optum is a leader in partnering with others, partnering with schools, various agencies, and the community at large.
Optum offered me a position, and it was the Director of Clinical Operations for the state of Idaho, assisting them in trying to get new clinical services for children and adults started in Idaho, which is basically what I do now. My role is to assist in building new programs based on need and gaps in our current system, and making sure that those programs are viable over time and accessible to children and adults.
Dr. Dennis Woody is a pediatric neuropsychologist. One of the programs he's working on is mental health first aid, where by partnering with community members, they are trained to become the front line of help.
We call it mental health first aid, and the training of folks in the community about mental health issues. We have training curriculum and models that are specific to adults. We have specific training models for children, and we have adolescent training models where you can go into a community and offer these classes or these courses, and they can become certified. And around those certifications, build a cadre of folks who really are available. These training models, we want to see them proliferate around the state, and so we've endorsed and funded these experiences for different communities and different settings. When you do mental health first aid, what you realize first of all is that there are a lot of things you don't need to be afraid of when you're interacting with a person who may be having a mental health crisis. I think what also occurs in this training is an awareness of just how stabilizing your questions can be. And you don't have to have a perfect answer for this person, but the fact that you're there and present and concerned is really a door opener for a person to be able to communicate whatever it is that they're feeling.
And the program trains people to, if they see something, if they are aware that something's going on, they're able to step in and kind of give that first line of help before bringing the experts or the professionals in. Is that how that works?
It is. It's, as I say, it's a door opener. When folks in, let's say, in Pocatello are trained in mental health first aid, they're made aware of what are the resources, what would be the most expeditious thing you could do with a person who is in a mental health crisis.
And we've trained people on what to do with the Heimlich maneuver.
That's
you see
right.
somebody, choking, you give them the Heimlich maneuver, first aid for, cuts or, tourniquets and all this. And yet I would guess that to find somebody that's choking versus finding somebody that's in a mental health crisis, you're going to more often find somebody that needs that help. Rather than learning how to do the Heimlich. I mean, it's important, but this is probably much more important and more likely that you're going to see this.
It's true, and you'll probably see it with someone that you're familiar with.
We've talked about prevention and partnerships being part of the future of healthcare in eastern Idaho. But what happens when you need to go to the hospital? Will local hospitals be able to help you, or will you need to go elsewhere? Stay tuned to find out.
The challenge is on again.
And we're hoping to collect more food than ever this year.
Join KPVI along with Cole Chevrolet and Cole Nissan Kia as we once again drive away hunger.
Friday, December 2nd, we'll be at Fred Meyer in Pocatello from 4 to 6 collecting food for the Idaho Food Bank.
Team Matt will be filling up this Chevy Silverado.
And Team Doug has this beautiful Nissan Titan to fill.
Help us drive away hunger. December 2nd at Fred Meyer in Pocatello.
Food fight.
Well, thanks, Doug, for the donation.
According to local experts, the services available at our local hospitals are continually expanding. Patients in outlying rural areas like Salmon are finding less need to travel to eastern Idaho's larger urban hospitals. Likewise, the need to travel out of the area to Boise or Salt Lake continues to decrease.
Advanced care that you might have gone to Utah for 10 or 15 years ago, you can now find in Pocatello. Just as an example, we're taking care of 22 and 23-week NICU babies. You know, short time ago, those families had to go down to Salt Lake City for care.
You know, it wasn't that long ago, you know, where if there was some sort of life-threatening element, that you were going to Utah or Boise or somewhere else. Well, we're bringing new service lines in all the time that are allowing Southeast Idaho residents to be able to stay close to home.
We just opened up our inpatient pediatrics unit, so we just started being able to take care of kids that come through our emergency room rather than having to ship them off to another hospital that has a pediatrics unit. It's adding vascular surgery. We have a vascular surgeon that will be here in November. We've also developed a relationship with Primary Children's Hospital where we have specialists from there come up here to see their patients. And that's nice because entire families don't have to drive down to Salt Lake to be seen by these specialists.
Along with new services offered in-house, telemedicine and telehealth are becoming game changers in the world of medicine. Simply put, it is the ability to monitor and deliver health-related services remotely.
Telemedicine is what we believe is the wave of the future, and you're starting to see that becoming more and more accepted. Telemedicine is a great way, if you're living out in a rural area, to be able to see a physician in a larger setting and help manage their whatever the disease or ailment they're going through.
So the distance, not having to drive 2-3 hours to see a specialist, is really a positive for these people.
Absolutely, and that's in an outpatient setting. Sometimes you're driving long distances. As an example, up in Salmon, we started a tele-oncology program, and with telemedicine, that they're able to stay in the community, and they're able to get that chemotherapy from oversight from an oncologist in Pocatello to do that in their small town of Salmon and not have to do that drive. But there's also another big aspect of the inpatient side, is that hospitals are really starting to do teleemergency services. And that includes telestroke, telebehavioral health, or just really a telecritical care. And what's neat about that is that if for an emergency you're brought to the ER, is that instead of being automatically shipped out to a larger facility over in Boise or Salt Lake, those patients can be kept in their rural communities with oversight from some of those specialists from those larger areas.
Telehealth is an incredible tool, and we actually use it on a regular basis when a patient presents in the emergency room with stroke symptoms. There is a group of over 200 neurologists, I think, that have banded together to form a telehealth group. If a patient presents in the emergency room with stroke-like symptoms, we can have a neurologist with eyes on in less than 10 minutes. He can watch the CT scan as it happens. He can work with the emergency room physician and decide whether to give the medication that helps with these kind of incidences or not. And that kind of technological advance actually speeds up healthcare, right? Because if we were waiting for a neurologist that lived here who might be on call to respond, that could be up to 30 minutes.
Telehealth and that kind of technology is really incredible. It really enables the services that are hard to find and hard to recruit for to come to the region. One thing I would say, as government officials look at funding and that, broadband is critical for rural health. because a lot of that that telehealth technology takes place over the internet. And so the more we can get broadband into rural communities, the better.
What do you see as the future for healthcare in Eastern Idaho?
So I think a couple things. I think artificial intelligence, technology, and what we call remote patient monitoring. One service that we're really excited about is a genetic screening tool that we'll use to identify cancers. We're actually in the next month going to roll out it's actually a phone-based app that physicians will have that they can use that will have the ability to help their patients determine and detect early cancer.
We wanted to end tonight's program with some exciting new technologies that are being developed right here in Eastern Idaho. The Idaho National Laboratory is one of the world's foremost research facilities. And when we visited them, I was surprised and fascinated by all they're doing. And it's not all top secret.
We do some work at INL that is national security work and that we can't talk a lot about, but that is not the majority of the work we do at INL. We are a clean energy laboratory. Our vision is to change the world's energy future and secure its critical infrastructure. It's as simple as that. And we do that by developing clean energy technologies and then deploying them. There's nothing secret about that. It's really cool stuff.
Battery technology is one of the clean energy areas where the INL is on the cutting edge, and their research may soon affect your everyday life.
We work on fast charging for vehicles. So one of the things that people may not think about is when we go to electric cars, we need to charge them. Well, we have to charge them quickly because right now you can't charge them that quickly. It might take half an hour to a few hours to get a car fully charged, and people who are on trips across the country aren't going to want to wait that long.
And you may remember in the news NASA's recent mission to Mars and the Perseverance rover.
We made the thing that powers that rover, and then our people took it to Florida, where they launched those missions from, and they installed it in the rover, made sure it was on the rocket right, and they were there for the launch.
But in addition to battery technology, nuclear research is still the INL's fundamental mission.
What we are most proud about is the nuclear technology that we're developing. I think these microreactors are just very exciting.
Dr. Luis Ocampo is a research scientist at the Idaho National Laboratory.
10 years from now, I would like us to be testing microreactors.
The idea of being able to produce a microreactor in a factory, take it anywhere. If you think about it, you could use it in a remote community. Alaska has a number of communities that can only be accessed via air or sometimes by ship, but no roads. So if you can take these small nuclear reactors and plunk them down there and have great, safe, reliable, economical power for these communities, that's really exciting.
The beauty of all of this is that we're considering these microreactors to be tested here so that we can ensure to the public that it's very safe. And we can actually deploy and develop new technologies to ensure that it remains safe, it remains secure, and that it remains reliable.
Abraham Lincoln said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." And this evening, we've seen a number of people doing just that. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you've enjoyed taking a look into the future of Eastern Idaho.
Tonight's presentation of The Future of Eastern Idaho was sponsored by Idaho National Laboratory, Melaleuca, Optum, Portneuf Medical Center, College of Eastern Idaho, Mountain View Hospital, Idaho Falls Community Hospital, and Idaho Central Credit Union.